saw it with my own eyes. And she said, indeed, the half wasn't even told.
It wasn't even told.
In other words, it was so big and so grand, and I heard it. I didn't believe that. But when I got here, not only was it true, I didn't even, the half has not even been told.
What's the other half?
The other half is what she saw when she got there. Now, mind you, I believe there are people today who believe that they're not true pastors, they're not true Christians. They're just people in the pulpit that want your money, they want this, want that, because that's the paradigm that they live in. And so when they come into the presence of a true man, a true woman of God, it's like, wow, this really does happen.
Yeah.
Wow, this is really true. And I believe that the paradigm that Queen Sheba lived in, and she had certain standards in being a woman of royalty, a woman of dignity, a businesswoman. She had a paradigm that she lived in, and she didn't think, she said in her own words, she didn't believe it. She didn't think that the standards that she knew would be higher somewhere else.
That's really good.
And she had to come see herself. And I believe even now that the standards should be so high that people have to come to you to see the other half. They have to come. They're itching ears, they're wondering, mind, wait a minute, I haven't heard of a person like this before. Oh, I haven't heard of someone who does deeds as this before. Let me pack up my entourage. Let me call up American Airlines. Let me call up Delta, or whichever ones haven't filed bankruptcy. Let me call them airlines up and catch me a flight over to Big T-Town, East Texas, and see what's happening. And then when you arrive, you'll say, my goodness, the half has not been told.
Oh, that is good.
And so God had me just, hey, work on the other half, because when they get here, they'll see something that they never expected to see.
Oh, you know what? I'm seeing something I didn't see in this passage. Her success was not to come and get money, which most people think success is. She was loaded.
Yes.
Success for her was to get the needs of her heart met.
Yes.
She had questions but no answers.
Yes.
That was success. It was not money. The woman brought this man all kind of stuff, as you just read.
Yes.
So when we say success, most people watch this and think success, oh, they're talking about money. No, money is the elementary thing to the anointing. That's money is way down here on God's list of things to do for us. That just happens as we seek the kingdom. That happens. And then all you got to do is get into your passion, and money will flow to you. Money is always where your dream is, where your passion is. But what we have to learn to manage is not God. We have to manage time and diversity. The Bible says that there was 3 different rivers that ran into the Garden of Eden. God was not dependent on one source to water his garden. He had 3 different, if one river dried up, 2 was coming.
That's right.
If 2 dried up, 1 was still flowing.
That's right.
And what we're talking about is diversifying not only assets, but diversifying your mind. When she left, she was wiser than the way she came.
That's right.
She was wiser.
It said that she saw all, she seen all his wisdom. Now, you know, there's no way, but imagine how she went back. And see, that's one thing, like you talking about her needs were met, her spirit was changed.
Yes.
It said, now, wait a minute, she was the toughest thing from where she come from.
She sure was.
She was the toughest thing from where she came from. And when she showed up, she's used to royalty, she's used to people waiting on her,
right.
She's used to all of this, but then all of a sudden, wait a minute, hold up a minute. It says that her breath was taken. It said that her spirit left her.
Ooh.
What?
She fell out?
How could that? Oh my God. This is like heaven on earth. What is this? And the wisdom. Because you have to have wisdom with it. Otherwise, you would end up losing it to Connors, to whatever. But he had so much wealth that he would have been a billionaire. They figured it up in the 20s. He would have been a multi-billionaire back in the 20s when it wasn't even popular for folks to be millionaires.
Through a mystery.
Through a mystery. Through a mystery. And then I was asking God, I'm like, God, he's the daughter, Bathsheba. I mean, he's the son of Bathsheba. Well, David ended up getting her from another man. And I'm like, the promised child would come through another man's wife. And, it goes to show you that God can use who he chooses.
Yes, who he chooses.
And he repented. David repented of his sins. And look at the son that God allowed him to produce. Very, very powerful. Man. Very, very powerful.
Oh, that's a mystery.
Oh, that's a mystery.
How do you get a king out of that? Because we would consider that dysfunctional family.
It was a dysfunctional family. You know, David.
Come on.
You know, the brother sleeping with the sister.
Oh, man.
The brother killing another brother. Absalom, the son, trying to take over his dad. It was a dysfunctional family. Dysfunctional. And you look, if you look at that family today, they would be in child protective service, on Ritalin, Prozac. You know, they would be arrested. They would be, you know, down at the jailhouse waiting a trial for killing a brother. All of these things, you know, were going on. And they said, oh, no, that you're not taking the kingdom. And it was not until Solomon came along and the promises failed.
Oh, man.
On Solomon. It just fell on him. Years ago, the prayer was so popular, the prayer of Jabez. And it says that one of the things in the prayer, he says, I pray that you would keep your hand upon me so that no evil cannot harm me. And it's so powerful because, see, every sin is evil, but every evil is not sin. And so when you look at even with what happened to Katrina, it was an evil, but it wasn't a sin because the weather is not a sin, but it is an evil. And so that even when I'm in your protection, that the evils don't come up on me, that the evils don't come up on me of sin and of not sin. So when you look at the protection and the wisdom that Solomon had upon him was very powerful and very moving. And I pray the same thing myself. God, don't, you know, don't let any evil come upon me. You know, when someone looks away and ends up having a car accident, that's evil. It wasn't a sin because they didn't commit a sin, but it was a wreck that was an evil. And so you have to pray that, hey, that no evil would come upon me. And so when you look at that, and even with tithing, it talks about the evil. I will keep the evil away from you. You don't want evil things to come upon you. And see, the enemy knows that, hey, I got territory over evil stuff.
Yeah, he sure does.
I got territory over evil stuff. Well, I can't get you to sin, but let me get in the atmosphere and cause some evil stuff to happen to you. But the prayer is that there was no evil upon him, and there was no evil upon Solomon in his days. You know, he had a lot of women.
Yeah,
and if you look at Songs of Solomon, he was pretty easy on the eyes too.
He sure was.
He was pretty easy on the eyes.
Mac Daddy, wasn't he?
He's a yes. He'd have been on the front of Ebony magazine, Vogue, People magazine. He'd have been everywhere, you know, on the front of the magazine. He'd have been on BET. He'd have been on MTV. He'd have been everywhere. Why? Because he was King Solomon. He'd been, romance novels, and he'd have been in the cartoon strips. You know, Jay Leno would have been talking about him. You know, yes, romance novels and
love
music, and all of that. You can write a love song from the Song of Solomon. I mean, I was like, this is is this rated X in here?
He's a bad boy.
Yeah, it's past rated R. There's some X stuff up in, you know, Songs of Solomon. He talked about what he did.
But he diversified himself.
Yes.
He diversified himself, and that's where people settle. We settle. I mean, she have given you enough just on this one broadcast, I mean, to change your whole life, your paradigm, which is the way we view the world. And this woman was one of those persons that we're talking to today, that seeing is believing for you. You know, you just got to see it. Nobody can just tell you, which is not a bad thing. You know, some people tell you that's bad because you're in the kingdom. You know, it's not bad. I think you have to pick and choose what you want to see and what you think you need to see. But when you begin to diversify your mind, when you begin to reach out and read good material and get around and expose yourself to people, like Jesus.